everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Faye. Today I am going to try out some products that are new to me that I'm very excited to try. Now these are not new launches, they're just new to me. They're things that I've really been looking forward to trying. So I'm going to do a full face featuring these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 products that I haven't used before, and we'll see how everything turns out. I will do some check-ins to check how they wear, and yeah, we'll have a little chat about them at the end. Let's jump right in. So the primer I'm going to use today is the VDL Lumilayer Primer. Now I've heard lots of Korean beauty bloggers talk about this, and I've wanted to try it for a really long time, but I was waiting till it was on sale. So out of the box, this is what it looks like. Let's have a little look inside. I haven't looked at this at all. Oh, it's quite, that's weird. Okay, it's quite thick and white, and okay. I think it's supposed to be kind of glowy and hydrating. What does it say on the box? It says, apply proper amount evenly on the skin before base makeup. Okay, that's not that helpful, and the rest is in Korean. So we're just gonna shove it on the face and see what it looks like. It's gonna put this directly on the face. I'm not quite sure how much of this to, the kitchen's making weird noises. Not quite sure how much of this to apply. Is this meant to be like a pump and I've just like screwed the whole top off? I'm so dumb. Okay. Has a pump, guys. There we go. Okay. Let's apply this. It's got a sort of bluey, purpley, shimmery undertone. Ooh, that's interesting. It feels really nice. Definitely feels hydrating. Feels quite slippy. I'm going to put a little bit more on. Oh, by the way, underneath this right now, I have my skincare, which is the Clinique Even Better Serum and the Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturising Lotion. Good products if your skin is dry. Okay, this feels really nice. It's definitely glowy. It's definitely slightly purpley blue. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Let me get a little bit closer. And if you can see that, it's sort of a purpley blue colour. I guess that's meant to maybe neutralise yellow undertones and make your skin look a bit brighter. But it looks nice. It doesn't look glittery, which I like. It looks glowy, which is what I want. This is another new product, well, new to me, the Clinique Even Better Glow Light Reflecting Makeup. I am shade CN02 Breeze. So let's have a look in here. Got a nice simple bottle. Clinique's kind of known for its simple packaging, nothing fancy. What's this like? Okay, it's got a little sort of squirty, tubey applicator. Now, how am I going to apply this? What consistency? If it's really runny, I don't want to apply it with a sponge because the sponge will just soak it up. Okay, it's quite liquidy. Let's just dot a bit over the face. Might go in with a brush for this because it is more of a liquidy formula, and I don't want to just like lose all my product into a sponge. It's the downside of a sponge. So I think maybe a brush, and then afterwards I might go in with a sponge just to get rid of any lines. So what should we do? Should we just do a little duo fibre. This is just a little duo fibre type brush. Okay. Although it's quite liquidy, it's not blending quite as far as I expected. So I think I will need a little bit more product. Hair's getting in my face. Should have worn a headband. Never mind. I think my headband might be in the wash. Jeez. Ugh. Now that I've dispersed that with my brush, I'm just going to take a sponge. This is one from Eco Tools. And I'm going to dab over and remove any lines from the brush strokes. So far I really like this foundation. I have to say it's definitely a natural, lighter sort of coverage. But it's hydrating without feeling super slippery or super overly dewy. They've matched me nicely, so I went in store and bought this. I didn't buy this online. I did go in store and get matched by the lady at the Clinique counter. So you would hope that it would be a good match. And I think it looks really nice. I mean, Clinique do have quite a wide range of foundation shades. I'm not quite sure how many shades this comes in, but I will put it up either on the screen or in the box down below. So good. Let's see if I can layer this up a little bit on the cheeks where I get some redness. I just dab a little here and spread it out with my finger. A little bit more on the forehead as well. Okay, it does build a bit. Although it is a light coverage, most definitely, you can apply a second layer and it's melding nicely into the layer underneath, and it seems to be melding quite nicely with the primer as well. You never know when you use a new primer and a new foundation whether they're gonna like each other or not, but this so far I think looks quite nice. Next onto concealer, which is also a new one to me, although you won't believe what it is because I feel like everyone in the entire world must have tried this by now. But it is the Maybelline Instant Anti-Aging Concealer with a little spongy thing on the top. Now, this has been popular for a super long time, and I remember when it originally came out, I went to the store and wow, I cannot find how you open this. I went to the store and I looked at the shades that were available, and the lightest one was definitely not light enough for me. And that's why I didn't buy it. God, where is the little... There should be a little serrated bit, right, where you open it. I'm gonna have to maybe get some scissors on this. Excuse me. I've got a strand. Oh my god, I've got hair. Okay, I've got... It's probably gonna get halfway down and then break, isn't it? Rather than tearing all the way off, but let's give it a go. Please all come off. Ah, okay. Okay, so I originally didn't buy this when it first came out because I couldn't find a shade that was light enough, and then I believe that at some point they decided to make more shades and they made a slightly paler one, and that is when I bought it. But then I had so many concealers that were open, I didn't want to like waste them and let them just dry out and not use them. So I decided to just put this in a drawer and keep it until I maybe needed to open a new concealer. And has it still got stuff on it? Oh, it's got like another protective thing on it. Oh my goodness, this is secure. So I decided to put it to one side and not open it straight away. And now it's actually been in my drawer quite a while, so I figured I should probably get around to using it. Now it has a little twisty thing. Okay, not sure how much I'm gonna have to twist this to get product to start coming out. Aha! Product. So this has been a really popular concealer for a really long time. But yeah, I'm only now getting around to trying it. Also, I was a bit reluctant because of the type of applicator. Like, I'm a bit of a hygiene freak, and this type of thing maybe bothers me slightly, but I'm only going to use it on myself. I'm not going to use it on anyone else. So I guess it'll be fine. Just going in with my Eco Tools sponge. Oh, it is nice. Okay. I see what people have been raving about for so long. I was very late to get on the bandwagon here. But how many concealers do you really need open at any one time? I mean, if you've got a couple of good ones open, I mean, it's a little bit wasteful, you know, to have a load open because they are going to dry out and expire. Let's layer a bit up. Let's put a little bit here, a little bit on the nose. A little bit. It's a bit light really for concealing blemishes, but we're gonna give it a go. Anyway, although it's not the best applicator for concealing blemishes, maybe I should go in with like a tiny brush and pick some up and then put it on where I want it exactly, because I don't want a ton. Okay, no, it's blending out nicely. This is a nice sponge as well, actually. Yeah, it's a tiny bit pale for blemishes, but never mind. I have other concealers that I can use for blemishes. I just wanted to try this one in a variety of places. So I've let this dry down slightly under the eyes in the hope that it will be a little bit more full coverage when I go in and try and blend it. I think this is going to be a good makeup day. Hopefully it's all going to last really nicely. Okay. So far, so good. I am suitably impressed. I should have opened this earlier, but now I know. Now I know. Oops, I twisted it. I put the lid on. I was just trying to put the lid on and I twisted it, so now more concealer's probably come out of there, but still not a fan of. I wish it was in like a normal bottle. If it had like a more of a normal applicator, I think I'd like it even more. But you can't have everything in life. The next product I have two of. These are the Glossier Cloud Paints, which have been popular for a while. This is, upside down, Puff and Haze. So I did use a tiny bit of this one the other day on my mum and it blended out really nicely. It's going to be too dark for me, which is why I've got the other one to mix it with. So let's just pop a little bit of this. You see how this is quite a dark sort of purpley, plummy pink colour. It's very pretty, it's just probably a little bit dark for me personally. So let's take a little bit of this one, which hasn't been opened, so it's a little tabby thing on it. Let's mix in some of this one. Okay, I think this is going to be really pretty. I'm very excited about these. Like, I wanted these for ages, but I owned quite a lot of cream blush, so I felt like, could I really justify buying more cream blush? But then I looked through my drawer and I realised, you know, I tend towards much warmer tones personally, and I have lots of peaches, lots of oranges, but I don't have much in this kind of colour, certainly not in this kind of cool pink colour, so I thought I'm just going to buy a couple because I really wanted them. So let's take a little bit of this on the base of the sponge. Ooh, pigmented. Oh, pigmented. I may have mixed way too much. Look how much I have on my hand. Oh my god, that's so much blush. We're going to do a super blushy look today just because I already put this all on my hand and now there's not much I can do with it apart from put it on my face. Oh, I like it though. That's really nice. Oh, I love blush. I love cream blush in particular. I'm very into cream blushes because I think they just meld with the skin so nicely and just give this beautiful flush. And now I realise I have pink all over my forehead because that blended way further than I expected. Okay, we're going to do the same on the other side, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit more foundation, obviously, because I can't leave this much blush on my forehead, as much as I love blush. Wow. This is crazy stuff. You do not need much of this. Oh my goodness. let's put a bit into the eye socket, because I tend to do that with my blush anyway. Let's put a little bit on the nose as well. This is going to be super blushy. Okay. I'm trying not to waste it because I have so much on my hand. Wow, okay. There's no way I can use the rest of this because there's so much of it. Okay, we're gonna go in with a tiny bit more. Get some paper and just gonna wipe this off my hand before I get it everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit more foundation just on the forehead to take down where I put some of that blush, because I like a little bit of blush up around the eye, but not quite that much. That was a bit too much. So we'll just get to see now how this foundation layers on top of existing products. Obviously I've got a layer of foundation on here now that's dried down quite a lot, and blush. So we're just gonna see how it does layering up. And the answer seems to be well. Now, obviously from far away you can't see all of the texture on my skin. So once I've just put a little bit of this more on my nose there, I will lean in a little closer so you can get a real proper look at how everything is doing. So if I lean in so that you can really see my pores, hopefully you can see how all these products are layering on top of each other. I have a magnifying mirror here that I'm using to put on my makeup, which really lets you see all of the sins, all of the flaws. And although I can obviously see some pores and I can see that there is makeup on the skin, everything does look very lovely still. Just take down that little edge there. Okay, so in terms of powders, I do have a new powder that I want to try, but I'm a little concerned that it's not really going to work for the whole face, so I have brought my regular loose powder as well. So what I have here is the One Powder Wonder from Beauty Pie. This is, I think, the only thing not in its case, because I have taken this out and had a little poke around in it and rubbed my finger through it, because it is the weirdest powder that I've ever seen. It looks white, but if you rub your finger in it, you almost get what feels like nothing. It feels like nothing, but you are definitely picking up product. It's just so incredibly see-through that you can barely see it. And I think this basically is just like silicone. Like it's just silicone, and so that's why it's so see-through. But it's very weird. I've never seen another product like it. So what I'm gonna do is go in all over the face with this, but I have a feeling that under the eyes where I have concealer, I'm gonna need something more traditional to really set it down. But we will see how we go. If I take a clean brush, I'm gonna tap it in here. And again, it's deceiving because it feels like you're picking up no product on your brush, but you really are. And I'm gonna tap this down. And I think this might look quite nice. So you can see it mattified a little bit. You see one side versus the other side. I think it is going to look nice with this really glowy look, because obviously I've got a glowy base, I've got a glowy foundation, I've got a very sort of glowy, not glowy, but dewy blush going on. Is it saying it? I'm not sure about this yet. Looks a tiny bit weird. I don't know if you can see here. Let's see. It's definitely nice in that it isn't making everything super matte, but I am worried about whether its setting capabilities are going to be particularly strong and really keep this makeup in place. I'm going to use a different brush for a second. Let me see. We got a little brush here. I'm going to try this one instead. I don't know. I feel like as I'm taking the brush with the product and trying to pat it on my face, I'm slightly moving the foundation, which isn't a great look. And that's making it look very slightly cakey, which is weird with a product that you feel like you're not even picking up any product with, but let's give it a fair go, okay? We're gonna do a wear test today, do some check-ins and see how this looks throughout the next however many hours I stay awake, basically. I don't know. I'm not sure about this. I'm really not sure yet. I'm not convinced. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit under the eyes, but I don't really think it's going to work to set concealer. So I'll put a little bit under the eyes to start out with, and then I think I'm going to go in with my usual Gosh priming set, just on a few areas around the centre of my face where I really don't want things to move. Because I also want to give like the primer and the foundation and the concealer and everything a fair chance of working. I don't want to just destroy everything with the powder. So if I feel like I'm picking up no product with this, but I know that I am, it's just, I can't see it. So if I set under the eye here with this, the eyelid. This might be a nice touch-up powder throughout the day, maybe. Like if you've already set your face, but things are, I don't know, looking a little bit oily or like they need a little bit of extra setting, but you don't want to go in with a ton of powder and make everything look super powdery and super matte. Maybe this would work. I feel like it's making the foundation look cakey. Can you see? I don't know if you can see. I've got obviously a magnifying mirror right in front of me, so I can see everything. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my usual powder. I love this powder. And let's just see what a difference that makes. I may have ruined everything with that powder, guys. Everything was looking so good. And then that powder came and just, I don't know. I'm not sure I like it. I think it made everything look a bit weird. Okay, so I've put a little bit of this powder all through the centre of my face here, but I've left the perimeter of my face just with the Beauty Pie One Powder Wonder, and we'll see how it looks throughout the day. But right now I think I prefer my more traditional powder. Ugh. Okay, I don't have any more face products to try out, so I'm gonna quickly do the rest of my makeup, and then I have a Clinique lipstick. This is one that, you know, I don't know if you've seen it, but they have a matching system where if you put in your foundation shade, if you've already got a Clinique foundation, you put in your foundation shade and it gives you 3 lipsticks, like two sort of more natural ones and then a more dramatic one, which are supposed to match really well with your skin tone. So I did that on the website and I got the 3 up, and I thought with the first 2, the more nudie, peachy kind of shades, I definitely already have lipsticks that look like that, but I decided to get the darkest one that it recommended, which is 18 Tickled. And then I also have a Glossier Boy Brow in clear to put on at the end as well. So I will do the rest of my face and then I will be back. And I'm back. I went a little crazy with my eye makeup. I'll quickly tell you what I used just so that you know. I used L'Oreal Back to Bronze. I used the Laura Mercier Baked Highlight. This is one of my all-time favorites. What else did I use? I used the Milano Make It Dewy Setting Spray. I used the Rimmel Scandalise in Deep Wine. I used the Tati Beauty Palette, which I love. I'll tell you what I used on my eyes today, if I can get this palette open. Okay, I used Poet, the matte and the sequin. I used some matte Aura, some matte Soothe, some matte Story on the lower lash line. This is what's on the top lid, the sequin, and a little bit of Aura, this one, the metallic in the inner corner. Hopefully you could see that. But that's what I did with the eyes. Used the Maxi mod from Kiko and the Waterproof Lash Paradise from L'Oreal, and the Clinique Soft Brown Brow Pencil. And I think that's everything. So now we can move on to the last two products that are new to me. The Glossier Boy Brow. Now this has been a popular product for like such a long time. Like one of the first products that sort of I heard of from Glossier was the Boy Brow, and I have lots of eyebrow pencils which I use to fill my eyebrow, which I use to fill in my eyebrows because my eyebrows are quite sparse. So I thought I would get, rather than a tinted gel, a clear one to use with, oh, it's kind of white, a clear one to use with my brow pencils. Now, this is a very small wand, and it's sort of a white colour, if you can see that. Although I'm guessing it's going to dry clear, so let's just shove some of this on. Oh, I like this wand. This is a good wand. Today I am discovering what people have been going on about for a really long time. Raving about some of these products. This is really good. Ooh, ooh, I like. Gives them a nice, it's like not too waxy, it's not too hard. It gives them a nice fluff, nice bit of definition. Makes the brow hairs look slightly darker, even though it's clear. Ooh, I am impressed. More of that there. That is excellent. Now I know what people have been going on about for so long. And the final product I have is an even better pop lip colour from Clinique. So this is the one I was telling you about that was matched to my foundation shade by their online matching system. And this is the darkest shade that was recommended to me. Now I always have a hard time with darker lip colours. I very rarely wear them because I really find it hard to find darker lip shades that look good on me, partly because of my skin tone and partly also because I have quite small lips, and so dark shades can make my lips look smaller. But I was kind of curious to see whether their matching system works and whether this is actually going to look good on me. Now the tone of this is more of a brown, it's more of a nude, and I've got a very sort of pink purpley situation going on here, so it might not match in colour in terms of just this look, but we'll put it on and we'll see how it feels. It's very creamy. I can say the formula is lovely. Definitely doesn't match my look today. I'm just blurring it with my finger to create a slightly softer lip line. It's certainly a lovely formula. I'm a fan of the Pop Lip Colour Plus Primer lipsticks. I have a couple of these. These are slightly different because these are from the Even Better range. Do I have any on my teeth? No, okay, good. I like this colour. I'm going to say their matching system works. It doesn't go with the look. The look is way too like purple for this lip colour. But if imagine I had like just, I don't know, just a wing liner, just like a brown wing liner maybe, and some more nude, neutral, maybe slightly peachy toned blush instead of this kind of purple, more cooler situation I have going on. I'm going to try this with some other looks, and I think it's going to go really nicely. I'm quite impressed. I was skeptical about whether this matching system thing was going to work, but personally I like it. Okay, so I am going to do some check-ins and let you know how things wear. At the moment, I have to say I really like almost everything I tried. The primer, slightly weird undertone. It is kind of blue, but obviously once you put foundation on, that doesn't show through. It was really smooth, it felt really hydrating, it was really nice and glowy without being super sparkly. So I was a fan of that. Obviously we'll see how it wears throughout the day. I don't know if it's meant to extend the wear of makeup. I'll do a little Google online and see if it's just meant to give you a glowy base or whether it's meant to extend the wear of the makeup. The foundation I'm really loving. It went on really smoothly. It was definitely a sort of light natural coverage, but I was able to build it up a little bit where I wanted it. The concealer, amazing. Should have tried it earlier, basically. It's been sat on my drawer just waiting for me, and it was really lovely, and it was a really nice colour as well. I think maybe I need a little bit of colour correcting as well under the eyes, underneath the concealer, just because I'm really tired right now, but it was a very nice concealer and it blended out very nicely. Not a big fan of the packaging, but the product is, I think, worth it, the product that's inside. The Glossier blushes, I mixed way too much of that stuff. That stuff is pigmented and it blends super far. You need the tiniest amount. So I went a bit overboard, but I really liked it. It blended out super easily. It didn't destroy the foundation underneath. Sometimes with some cream blush formulas, you apply them and they sort of, I don't know, something in them almost melts or sort of mixes weirdly with your foundation, and it lifts all the coverage of foundation from your cheeks. And personally, I found this did not do that. So I was really impressed with that. Yeah, so that's the 4 cream-based products that I all really love so far. The Beauty Pie powder, I'm not convinced about. I feel like it made my foundation look a little bit cakey, and it didn't really set it. So when I was tapping the brush on my face, even though there was loads of powder on my brush, I was then kind of moving my base products around with the brush, which was weird. So I don't know if maybe it's something where I could apply my normal powder and then touch up with that through the day. I will say that I was worried about going in with other powder products like my bronzer on top of that sort of weird silicone-y see-through powder, because I was worried that because it hadn't like seemed to fully set things down, that the bronzer might blend patchily on top of it. But that didn't seem to happen. Everything blended on quite nicely, I think, apart from potentially on my nose. I think you can see here where I've gone in with bronzer on my nose. The product has moved around slightly. I don't know if this is focusing, but yeah, I feel like the Beauty Pie powder didn't quite set everything down on my nose fully. So when I went in with bronzer, I kind of moved the concealer off of this little spot that I've got in the middle. So maybe the powder is more of a touch-up thing. I'm not sure about it. I'm not really sure what if it doesn't really set things down. It certainly didn't really set my under eye concealer. Definitely went in with, needed to go with powder over the top. So I'm not quite sure about how you're meant to use it. I'm gonna have to play around with it a bit more. And then the Boy Brow is great. You can see my brows are completely dried down now, and it has made those brow hairs look a little bit darker, even though it's a clear gel. And then the lipstick obviously doesn't go with this look, but I do really like it. I think it's a really nice tone. It's a really creamy and pigmented formula that didn't highlight any dry patches whatsoever. So I really love that. And I got it at Boots when Clinique was 3 for 2, so that's another thing to be happy about. Okay, I will check in with you in a bit. Hi everyone. I've had my makeup on for 3 hours. Please excuse my lockdown hair. So this little area here where I had concealer as well as foundation, this happened straight away when I put the powder on. It just went a bit weird looking and it's kind of set a bit strangely. Obviously my lipstick has also come off. You can also see under my eye that there's a little bit of patchiness from the powder, the beauty pie powder, but I added a lot more Gosh powder on top there and it looks a bit better. My forehead though, again, you can see a bit of weirdness between the eyebrows where I used the beauty pie powder. That's been there right from the start. The rest of my forehead though, I feel looks good. I quite like the glow that I'm getting, which is a little bit more glowy with the beauty pie powder than it would be with my usual setting powder. That's pretty much everything for now, and I will see you again in a bit. Hi everyone, it's almost 1 AM, so I'm talking quite quietly because I don't want to wake anyone up, but I'm here to do a check-in before I take off my makeup and let you know how things are going. So to start with the easy things to talk about. The lipstick obviously wore off after a while. Obviously after I ate, it's a traditional lipstick formula. It's not meant to be long lasting, so I was expecting that to happen, but it applied really well. It looked really lovely. It didn't show any patchiness at all, you know, where I've bitten my lips and they're a bit, you know, dry or patchy. It didn't show that up. It was really, really pigmented, and yeah, I mean, I really liked it. So after a while I did take it off and just apply a sort of nude pink gloss, but the lipstick I will definitely be wearing again. The Glossier Boy Brow, I mean, it's a simple product. It's a brow gel. It's a very good brow gel. I really like it. It will definitely be going into my everyday routine. My brows still look the same as when I did them, so that's all good. The primer I really, really liked. This doesn't claim to extend the wear of your foundation. I mean, it's been 8 hours. My foundation still looks mostly fine apart from one area, which I will talk about in a minute. But it did what it says it's going to do. It moisturized, it made my skin feel hydrated, it looked dewy and glowy, it had that kind of bluish tone, that color corrected, and yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, maybe if you have dry skin, I don't know. I mean, sorry, it's late, I'm tired. If you have oily skin, I don't know how much you will like this because it was definitely quite hydrating. But yeah, I mean, I will be using it again and wearing it for longer than 8 hours to see if it improves the wear of foundations that I know more about than this one. But so far, really good. And the concealer, I think I needed a little bit of colour correction underneath it, just to really cancel out those dark circles, because although it is reasonably good coverage and it's not like super full to the point where you're going to cover absolutely everything, but it was a really nice creamy consistency. It blended out really nicely. I think I'm going to talk about the powder in a second. I think I need to wear this without using that Beauty Pie One Powder Wonder powder, just to, you know, really see how this looks, because while it looked good when I applied it, it did go a bit weird when the powder went on, and I think that was to do with the powder, but obviously I can't say for absolute 100% certain, but I'm pretty convinced it was the powder that made it look slightly patchy, because it looked really lovely before I put the powder on. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad I managed to get this 00 Ivory, which maybe is the lightest shade, I don't know. Maybe if they have brought out lighter and lighter ones, I don't know. What does it be, like -1? Anyway, if you're my skin tone, this will work for you. If you're paler than me and have, say, a more pinkish undertone, you might struggle to find an appropriate colour. But it was really nice. Nothing but good things to say about the cloud paints. I'm glad I finally just bit the bullet and bought them, even though I already own quite a lot of cream brush, but they're really good. They blended out really nicely. I'll know for next time that I only need a tiny bit, and you know, they've lasted really well on the skin. You can still see that that blush is there. Now, the more tricky things to talk about, just because obviously they were used in combination, and that's the foundation and the powder. Now, I think where I've run into some issues, it's to do with the powder, not the foundation. But I'm adding a little qualification to that to say, I think that's the issue, because obviously I'm trying these things out for the first time, so I can't say 100% what exactly went wrong. But okay, here's the thing. My chin looks weird. Can you see? This patch that I showed you earlier definitely has deteriorated a little bit. Yeah, so this patch that looked weird at the 3-hour check-in, that wasn't a deterioration. It had looked that way ever since I applied the powder. And this area here is where I have not just the foundation, but the concealer. So there was a thicker amount of product. It was wetter, and I think that was the issue. Where I had concealer, the foundation had dried down quite a lot. Where I had put concealer, there was obviously a bit more thickness, a bit more wetness, and the powder did not take to that very well. Or when I put the powder on the brush and then I put the brush to my face, although there was a lot of powder, although invisible powder, there was a lot of powder, I definitely swirled it very vigorously. There was definitely product on the brush. When I put the brush in contact with my face, the brush sort of touched the wetness of the foundation plus the concealer and sort of moved it a little bit and lifted it up very slightly. So every time I put the brush down, I lifted it up and I deposited some of the powder, but I'd also left some kind of patchiness behind. And where I went in then with my Gosh powder on top, I put quite a lot of Gosh powder under the eyes here and around this area on the cheeks. And although it still has that slight weird unevenness that happened as soon as I put the powder on it, it hasn't deteriorated, it hasn't got worse at all, if you can see. It looks the same as the 3-hour check-in. On my chin, however, where I had foundation, concealer, applied this powder and didn't really go in with a ton of extra Gosh on like normal, typical translucent powder, things have gone strange. And the reason I'm pretty sure it's the powder, not the foundation, is because obviously this is a new foundation to me that I'm trying for the first time, but foundations, you know, they have things in common with other foundations, like the amount of pigmentation, the thickness of the formula, you know, how liquidy it is, how much it dries down by itself, how dewy it is. So based on what this foundation was like when I applied it, and based how it looks, based on how it looks on the rest of my face, and particularly here where I added the extra powder, I wouldn't have expected to run into a particular problem with this. I have formulas that are much thicker, dewier, less sort of self-drying, that don't run into this issue when I use a regular powder. So it's not that I'm completely trashing this. I think there is a place for it, but it's not over wetter products. It's over the areas of the face, like the perimeters of the face, where you maybe just have foundation, not foundation plus concealer, or over formulas that are more sort of dried down already before you go in with the powder on the top. I think it didn't work well on the areas of the face through this T-zone, well, not T-zone, just really an eye zone. This just middle strip of my face where I get a little bit oilier, where I typically have concealer as well, where my face is really like more movable because I have more movement around this part of my face because it's where my mouth is, obviously. And that kind of needed the stronger setting power of a regular powder. And this just didn't have the strength of setting that my usual powders have. So it took away some shine, and my bronzer and stuff blended all right on top, apart from on my nose. But I can tell from the amount of shine that I have on my forehead, which is not something I would normally have with any formula foundation with a traditional powder, because my skin is dry. I don't get that oily. I can tell from the level of shine up here that this doesn't set things down as strongly and as mattely, that's not a word, but as matte as a traditional powder. And you know, I have nothing against the glow up here, by the way. I actually quite like it. I think it makes everything look a bit more natural. So I would continue to use this on the perimeter of my face, and use a traditional powder through this central zone where I have a little bit more oiliness typically. Because the nice thing about this is it doesn't make your face super matte. So if you want to retain some of that sort of hydrated, more dewy kind of look, I think this would be good, but I'm really not sure about it in the center of the face, where the face is moving a lot, where you really need that strong setting power, and I'm not sure about it over the top of damp products, like when you put concealer on top of your foundation as well, and it's a lot damper than where your foundation has maybe already dried down a bit by itself. Okay, I know that was kind of long and rambly, but it's kind of, I don't know, I have complicated thoughts about this, but I am going to obviously experiment with it a bit more. But I think it's just, it doesn't set things down in the same way as a normal powder. And also I will say as well that I use this on my eyelids to set the concealer on my eyelids, and then I did add a little bit, I think, of the traditional powder, but not a huge amount, and I have a little bit of creasing of my eyeshadow, so that also kind of tells me that that concealer that I had on my eyelid, which, you know, normally would not crease, I do not have oily eyelids, these are all eyeshadows and stuff that I've used before, I've never had this issue, kind of makes me think that this is just not setting things down enough. So yeah, I mean, the foundation, I don't think it was the foundation's fault, and I really liked the way this applied. It looked really, really lovely at first, apart from those issues I had where I applied the powder. It's lasted really well everywhere apart from my chin, which again, I can't say for 100% certain, but I think it was more the powder than the foundation. Also, I did obviously apply the hydrating kind of Lumi primer all over my face, including the slightly oilier central parts. So combined with that, and that being an area where I get a tiny bit more oily in general, I probably need the setting strength of the traditional powder and not the Beauty Pie powder. So I will definitely continue using this. I'm really glad I picked this up. It looks lovely everywhere else on the face. It applied really nicely. It also built up well, and it's a really good colour for me as well. They matched me really well in store, and I'm really happy that I get to continue playing with this. So mostly successes, almost exclusively successes, just one thing that didn't quite work. Everything else I think was really good. Oh, I forgot to mention I have a tiny bit of mascara transfer under one eye, but that basically always happens to me if I put mascara on my lower lashes, so I don't think that was the concealer's fault. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to continue using all of these products just in slightly amended ways, potentially, you know, with this powder just on the outside of the face. But yeah, this was generally really, really successful. And I also have to say I really love this eyeshadow. This Tati eyeshadow is so good. And I love this sequin shade. It doesn't pick up so well on camera, but this sort of deep pink has little like flecks of sort of greeny, glittery, bluey kind of colour. Oh, I don't know, it's really hard to describe, but it's so unique, and it doesn't pick up so well on camera, but in person it looks so pretty. And yeah, okay, that's everything. Sorry for rambling, but that's what happens to me when it's late and I'm tired. So I'm gonna go now and take off my makeup and go to bed, and we'll probably film another video tomorrow. I think I'm gonna do a makeover for my mum, film that. She wants something hydrated and dewy looking, but she has mature skin, and working with getting a sort of dewy, glowy finish on more wrinkled, textured skin is kind of a challenge, so we'll see how that goes, but fingers crossed it goes okay. Right, okay, good night, if you're watching this at night, or good morning, or good afternoon, or whatever time of day it is where you are. I need to shut up now. I'm gonna go to bed. Okay, bye guys.